Slowly. Okay, so it says page not available, but I think it'll be fine.
Awesome.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and get started.
Cool. Yay. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. We'll give it a few minutes while everyone joins.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice. Already seeing people excited this morning with the thumbs up. Awesome. Thanks for all the emojis, guys.
Welcome. We're going to give it a few more minutes as more classes and students from around the state join us for this super exciting program we have for you on this stormy morning. I wonder what the weather's like where you are, how your drive to school was. Some exciting weather happening kind of across the state.
Yeah, all around the state. I'm up here in Sacramento and we're getting some rain, and I'm sure we have some folks on the call today from Sacramento area or Northern California, and we're going to talk to some people down in Southern California today that are experiencing some weather of their own. So, yeah, all right. Well, glad to have everybody here this morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Really happy to have you. We're going to hear from some park and California State Park and California Department of Fish and Wildlife experts today down in Silverwood Lake. And so really excited again to have you here. If you're from Northern California joining us today, if you want to throw a clapping hands emoji into the chat, that would be great. If you're from Central California, give me a heart emoji, please. And if you are from Southern California today, put in a thumbs up, please. Or, yeah, there we go. Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. Really appreciate you guys and hope you're excited for today's session. You can see myself and Francesca are the hosts for today, but we've got some other experts as well that are going to be speaking to us. And we even have a special lake live cam today. So from time to time, you'll see that spotlighted, and you can always see the current conditions at Silverwood Lake up at the top of your screen too. So my name is Dominic. I'm a state park interpreter too, and I work for the California State Parks, and more specifically, the Watershed Interpretive Program. And our goal in the Watershed Interpretive Program is to help people connect to the watersheds that they live in. You might ask yourself, what is a watershed? And well, we're going to learn a little bit about that today from our experts. But our watersheds, our parks, our natural spaces out in the state, they belong to everyone in California, including all of you on the call today. So we hope you can come visit them in person someday. We'd really love to see you there. And so today we're going to be talking about the Mojave River watershed. I hope some of you guys on the call today know where the Mojave River is, and maybe you've been to the Mojave River. If not, we're going to learn a lot about it today. So the Mojave River starts, the watershed starts in the San Gabriel and San Bernardino Mountains. It's about 4,500 square miles, so it's pretty big. And it's a unique river because it flows underground for much of its length, and it flows to the north and to the east and ends out in the middle of the desert. So it's a pretty unique place. So I want to show you guys a map of California with some cool watersheds on it that relate to our ports programs that we're doing for you. So here's a map of California with some neat watersheds on it. And we've done a program before, maybe some of you were on it, about the American River watershed up here near Sacramento. And we were reporting there from Folsom Lake. And today, if we scroll down the state, we're going to go down to Southern California. And that place outlined in blue, that's the Mojave River watershed that we're talking about today. So as we zoom in closer and closer and closer, you can see Silverwood Lake State Recreation Area. And that's where we're going to have our friends speaking to us today about the Mojave River watershed. So we're really excited to have them and really excited to have all of you here today with us. So I will say, before we pass over to Francesca, just that if you guys have any questions as the Zoom is going on, please throw those into the Q&A section. And we'll be checking the Q&A as the call goes along, and we'll be answering questions at the very end. So please, if you have questions, put those into the Q&A. And without further ado, I'll introduce my colleague Francesca from CDFW.
Awesome. Thanks, Dominic, and welcome again, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. My name is Francesca. I work for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And as you can hear, our name has the word fish and wildlife in it. And our agency and our team's job is to manage all of the wildlife here in California. So every species you can think of that lives in California, our team and of scientists are interested in studying them, counting them, monitoring them. Some really fun jobs here at CDFW. And today we're going to talk about the ones that live underwater and around some lake habitats. We're really excited to partner with our friends at California State Parks because there are lots of places where you can go to actually see these wildlife and interact with them in the wild environments. So as Dominic mentioned, we're going to be talking about the word water today. You're going to hear it over and over. We're going to be talking about rain, snow, lakes. It might be water outside your window right now. You might have had the windshield wipers on the way to school this morning. The scientific word we're going to be talking about is called watershed. So give me a thumbs up if you've heard of watersheds before. And what I'm going to do is pull up an image of a watershed, and I want you to think for about 30 seconds, what is a watershed? So we're going to share this image and take about 30 seconds. You can write it down if you have a notebook. You can turn to your partner. But what are you seeing here? Let's see, am I still here, Dominic? It just shut off my, okay.
I see. I can share the image if you like.
Yeah, if you have that pulled up, mine's being a little glitchy with the storm this morning.
Yeah, too much weather out there today. Let me share that for you.
Let's see. And as you look at this image, perfect, I'm seeing it now. There might be some big science words on there, but I want you to just look at the pictures and see what you notice. And where's the water in these photos? Where is it traveling? Where's the water flowing and collecting? Okay, so hopefully now you've got this image of a watershed in your head now. And throughout the program, we're going to be talking a little bit more about it. But at its core, the basic concept is about storing water. So a shed is where we store maybe our tools, maybe at your playground, you store your playground equipment in a shed. A watershed is where water is stored, and everyone lives in a watershed. So really exciting today, we're going to go live out into the Mojave watershed down in Southern California, and we're going to hear from our interpreters, which are educators that are out in the field. And we're going to get a chance to look at what's going on down in this watershed. So you guys ready to go outside and check out some exciting weather? Okay, let's turn it over to our friends Ian and Jose, who are down in the visitor center at Silverwood.
Good morning, everyone. So we are here at Silverwood Lake. Unfortunately, this wonderful view behind us is not our live view. It is quite weathery outside today. So we unfortunately could not be live outside, but that is what we have our live lake cam for. So as you can see here, it is quite stormy and it is actually snowing here. So Silverwood Lake is up high in the San Bernardino Mountains at the top of that watershed. So think back to that image Francesca shared with us, how it had the mountains draining down to the low point. So we are up here in the mountains. Now, Silverwood Lake, as Dominic also said, is very unique in this, that the Mojave Watershed is not your typical watershed. Most watersheds in California do lead out to the ocean. However, our watershed here leads out to the middle of the desert to the east, towards the middle of the country. So why that is important? The desert needs water, but our mountains here is what stops that water from actually getting there. So you can see in our live cam all of those clouds. So those came in off of the ocean and are actively snowing, or if you're out towards the coast more, actively raining, and that is all collecting there. So Silverwood Lake is a man-made lake. So it does have the natural river running through it, but it is man-made, part of the State Water Project, and the second to last stop here in Southern California, both of which here at Silverwood Lake and the last stop at Lake Paris are both California state parks. So they belong to all of us. So they are our neighborhoods. So think about what your neighborhood is. It's where you live. And we all live in a watershed, and currently we are in that Mojave watershed. So you can see these plants and all of the water there is wonderful homes for a lot of our animals. And we have to keep these areas clean and safe. So thinking about your neighborhood, think of something to share with a partner, some things that you might do to help keep your neighborhood safe. And while we do that, while the stormy scenes are very nice, we'll show you a really pretty picture of what our Silverwood Lake looks like on a nice, bright, sunny day. If you wouldn't mind, Dominic, sharing one of those. So here we have Silverwood Lake on a bright, sunny day. So thinking about how you would help protect your neighborhood. So there are lots of ways to do that. And there are lots of different ways people use our lake as well. So it's home for animals, but my colleague here is going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's see how people use our lake. So we have an image of what people do when they spend their time here at Silverwood Lake. A lot of people come for a swim. There's lots of boating. We have tours of the lake to look for wildlife, like those poor little ducks out in the storm right now that you see on our live cam. So we do birding tours. And it's important to protect all of this wildlife because we all love using this area. We all love our neighborhood, be it our home neighborhood or our park neighborhood. And it's important to keep that safe. So last week we were up here, we were doing a session and we went out to our boat launch ramp, which is one of our most popular places. And unfortunately, not everyone does their part. So let's pull up what the beach at the launch ramp looked like a few weeks ago. Not too pretty. So I'll give you a moment to actually look and count how many pieces of trash our visitors had left this day. So I'm seeing some bags. I see a soda can. I see fishing line, food wrappers. So there are actually 16 pieces of trash in this photo alone. And this is just about 5 square feet. of our shoreline. So I did do my part. I did grab a bag and I did collect all of this trash and dispose of it in the proper trash bins. So I did my part to help our natural neighborhood. So hopefully if you ever get to visit any of your local watersheds or up here at Silverwood Lake, we hope you do your part as well to help both our natural and human neighbors. Now to talk about our natural neighbors, I have my colleague here who's going to go over a lot of what you might see in the animals. So take it away, Jose.
Hey everyone, my name is Jose Munoz. I work for Fish and Wildlife. I'm an interpreter with them. And today we're going to be talking about this aquatic neighborhood. I planned on being outside so I could point at the lake, but I'll point at this picture of the lake. So down below that water is a whole neighborhood, and it's full of life, just like our neighborhoods. And just like how our neighbors all have busy lives, they're always so busy doing stuff and things, so do our aquatic neighbors. Two locals we're going to be talking about today are rainbow trout and bald eagles. Believe it or not, bald eagles are really down here. I know, it's crazy. So both of these creatures have deep roots to not only this aquatic neighborhood, but to the whole state. So rainbow trout and its fellow salmonoids have been in our waters for longer than written history has actually existed. So long before people had the idea to write down what happened yesterday, these fish were already in these waters, living their lives in these aquatic neighborhoods, right? So, and many people throughout time have fished, and many have fished trout. Like these two people who fished over 160 years ago, this boy went out and caught the same type of fish that we could go out and catch today. So if you guys could pull up
just a second, we'll pull up this image, Jose. We're having a slight tech delay to share.
Yeah. So right now we're going to see this picture of this mother and this son who went out in about 1860. They went out and the son caught 2 rainbow trout. And what's really cool about that is they had no idea that they were going to end up in the Getty Museum. They had no idea that we would be looking at them 100 years later. They just went out and had fun fishing, right? So that's what's cool about just living your life in our aquatic neighborhoods. You might end up being a part of history. And honestly, everything we always do every day ends up in history, right? So all our actions are really important, especially towards our aquatic neighborhoods. So sadly, though, due to human activity, like pipe culverts, and those are the sort of tunnels you see under bridges that sort of make it tough for rainbow trout to move from bodies of water, and sometimes they even get stuck in certain areas of rivers or lakes that have those built. And because of that, they can't reach the ocean anymore. And what's neat is that rainbow trout that go out and reach the ocean are actually known as steelheads. So you could sort of think of it like spending your winters by the beach and then your summers in the mountains. But because of all this human construction, they're not able to make it down there. And they get generally bigger in the ocean because there's more food, more space available. And because of all of that, they get larger than rainbow trout. Generally, they could grow up to 45 inches, the steelheads, while rainbow trouts average between 12 and 20 inches. And what's really neat is you sort of see the environment or their aquatic neighborhoods and the effect that their health, the health of these neighborhoods have on these fish. So because of their inability to go down, they're not able to go down and become steelheads. And then that's not exclusive to rainbow trout. We all actually have DNA in our cells that help us thrive in our environments. So our bodies try their best in the environments we have, and that's same with these fish. So DNA is what tells our bodies how to grow, when to grow, and what to grow. That's very true with rainbow trout. And then we're also going to talk about their buddy bald eagles. But we'll talk about that in a bit. But because of humans being bad neighbors, there are things our DNA just can't keep up with. So because of things like climate change, where they're facing difficulties, especially the native populations at times, and also there's invasive fish as well that get into our bodies of water because of humans being bad neighbors. There's also invasive quagga. So it's up to us to be responsible neighbors, especially in a place like Silverwood, where we sort of modified this aquatic neighborhood a little bit. It wasn't always this awesome lake. That was actually something that humans came here and modified a bit. And because of our involvement in that, we owe it.
Let's see. It looks like we've got Jose frozen on us here. We'll get a quick pivot back to our live cam to check out what's going on out at the lake while they figure out their connection. And as you were hearing from Jose, we've got bald eagles. Let's see if we can see any out there today. They're probably hunkered down in their nest somewhere tall up on the trees. We've got rainbow trout underwater. And we've also got some scientists that are studying all of these animals. And today we're so lucky to have one of our scientists on the call with us today. Her name is Monica, and we're really excited to jump over to talk to her about the work that she does with even more animals. Everyone loves animals and studying animals. So Monica, you have a really cool job. Do you think you could share with us about some of the work that you're doing out in the field every day?
Absolutely, Francesca. So, hi, everybody. My name is Monica, and I work with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. I'm a scientist for the Inland Deserts team, and I help fish, frogs, turtles, and their habitat. So, I'm going to talk to us a little bit more about some of the cool critters that live in the Silverwood Lake neighborhood and the Mojave River watershed. So as Jose mentioned, right now, Silverwood is a lake. But before the 1960s, this was actually a river, the Mojave River. The Mojave River is home to 3 really cool species: the arroyo toad, the southwestern pond turtle, and the Mojave tui chub. And the Mojave tui chub is actually the only fish that historically lived in the Mojave River. So rivers and lakes can both be habitat in the watershed neighborhood, but the ways that they look and the ways that they work are different. Some animals that are really great at living in a river are usually not so good at living in a lake, and animals that live in a lake might not be so good at living in a river. So you might be asking, what happened to all the animals and where is the river? Well, many of the animals that we're here had to move to keep living where the Mojave River still is. But if you think back to that watershed image, Silverwood is still a part of that awesome Mojave River watershed. In fact, let's imagine that we were going to go for a walk around Silverwood Lake. We're going to walk along the lake edge. Eventually, we'll reach a part that's going to spill into the river. So now if we imagine that we walked down to the parts of the river that are next door between Silverwood Lake and the city of Hesperia, we would walk right into the habitat of the arroyo toad. Now, walking during the day, you might not necessarily see an arroyo toad. They like to spend their time in their burrows underground resting during the daytime. But at night, you'd see them running around eating ants and beetles. But if you did decide you wanted to walk around in that area during the day, you might see a southwestern pond turtle. Southwestern pond turtles love to spend their time sitting out in the sun on logs and rocks. They eat plants and fish, amongst lots of other things. This guy in the photo is actually getting his height checked by scientists. So now let's take our imaginary river walk all the way down the mountain, all the way down to the city of Apple Valley. Well, in Apple Valley, the river still flows, but like Silverwood, it doesn't look like what it did before. This change has been really hard for the Mojave Tuatcheb because much of the original river has been changed by humans to the point that they need help finding habitat, and they're listed as endangered animals by the state and federal governments. The good news is there are still Mojave Tuatcheb around, but they all have to live in human-made habitat that's taken care of or stewarded by others. Some of these stewards are actually students like you. In 2003, at a school connected to the Silver Lake watershed, 2 high school students heard about the struggles that the Tuatcheb face. And they decided to do a 2-year school project to raise awareness. And they went to talk to local scientists, talk to the community, and that awareness spread. It started conversations to the point where they actually got their school to agree to build habitat for the Tuatcheb. They got their community involved to build it. They got scientists to participate, and eventually those scientists put fish in the habitat. Currently, I'm continuing that work by helping to clean up the habitat, by taking out some of the invasive cattails. Now, cattails are this plant that you can see pictured on the right that kind of look like corn dogs. Too many cattails can be bad because they use up all the oxygen and the light and make it hard for the Mojave Tuatcheb to live. So Silverwood Lake and its neighborhood have really cool, deep history and really of neighbors and nature that I encourage you to read about in your own time. But I want you to remember that we can all make a difference. Everyday acts do matter, and being a good neighbor here in Silverwood makes a difference for all the cool people, plants, for the southwestern pond turtle, the arroyo toad, for all of the things that live downstream from here too. Because official stewards like myself and my colleagues here, we can only take care of a small number of animals in a small area of land. We rely on good acts of unofficial stewards like you. So, but if that concludes my part, I'll pass it back to Francesca so we can continue looking and learning about the Silver Lake watershed.
Awesome. Thanks, Monica. What a cool job. Those are some awesome animals. I personally like the pond turtles. I love finding turtles when I'm out fishing or exploring, but those are some really cool species. It looks like we've got Jose and Ian back with us. Thanks everyone for bearing with us. We've got snow, we've got wind. We're dealing with a lot of stuff to get this broadcast going today. But maybe Ian, you could pick up where you left off talking about those bald eagles and kind of the way that humans could have an effect on them and maybe the success stories that we know about.
Yeah, so we survived the snow up here. We're back. And yeah, we're going to talk about bald eagles now. So we had left off on rainbow trout and sort of Lake Silverwood being man-made and our responsibilities to it. But a cool neighbor of this aquatic neighborhood is the bald eagle. There's a young bald eagle right there. He's not quite bald yet. And, you know, I really love bald eagles because they know what it's like. They know what it's like. But in all seriousness, they're not actually bald, which made me a little sad when I found out. But I still think they're really awesome birds. Apart from showing solidarity with me with their hairstyle choice, bald eagles are cool due to their size and their role in this aquatic neighborhood, and also their history alongside people. You know, we all know they're America's national bird. They have a 6-foot wingspan. It's not pro sport size, but I'm about 6 feet. So if they opened up their arms, it would be like if I was sideways. Yeah, and we have some images, I believe, that I drew from a quick glance at an eagle a few weeks ago. It's not wanting to pop up though, but we'll get it uploaded right now. And if anything, I could just redraw it again while it gets uploaded, because we're just seeing a black screen here. There we go. So I'll draw my drawing of a bald eagle, and while you guys check this one out, this right here is a bald eagle with a little coot in its legs. They do eat they eat other things apart from fish. They eat all their aquatic neighbors, right? Not all, a good amount. So let's draw this. And then my assistant will help us again, and it won't crash this time. There you go, thank you. Let's get that, let's show them that picture of the bald eagle, the hand-drawn one. There you go, thank you, thank you. So that's my interpretation of a bald eagle. And later on today, if you guys want to show us some of your aquatic animals in drawing form, send it our way. I don't know if you could do better than me though. Just look at that. But continuing about our aquatic neighbor bald eagles, they love to fish here. There's a lot of available food and rainbow trout. And what that makes them an apex predator. That means they eat a lot of prey food and nothing predates them. And the sort of side effect of that is after World War II, we as in humanity invented DDT. It's this pesticide. And it was amazing at killing insects, but it would build up all through our aquatic neighborhood. It would get on the fish, in the water, plants, insects. And when eagles would go to eat these rainbow trout, these other fish, they would accumulate, it's called bioaccumulation. They would accumulate this poison inside of them. And because of that, when they would go to lay their eggs, the shells would be too thin. So when they would try to warm their baby eagles, the eggs would just break. And that was because of a choice we made, and it affected our aquatic neighborhood. But we also made a choice to fix it. Humans decided to stop using DDT, and because of that, our aquatic neighborhoods cleaned up, and bald eagles could sit on their eggs all day long. And in fact, in this area, in our aquatic neighborhood, we have some bald eagle chicks. You guys may have seen them in that bald eagle cam. But yeah, without that choice people made to fix a mistake they made, we may not even have those bald eagles up there to watch on camera. So it's really cool because bald eagles show us the effects we could have, both negative and our abilities to fix these mistakes. So it's never too late to fix, any mistakes we make, in life or our environment. So Monica already spoke on all the other cool aquatic neighbors, but we do have some reflective questions like, what are some things you learned today about your aquatic neighbors, be they animals or the aquatic, watershed itself in its entirety? And what can we do to protect it or make it better? There's no right answer, right? These are new problems that are occurring, and it's going to be up to you guys and us to all come together and figure out how to solve these problems. And again, send us in any drawings you guys have. It could be an idea for how to fix and protect our environments or any cool animals you saw today. And if you guys ever want to go out to enjoy these places, you could visit your state parks. And we also have this cool program called Fishing in the City, where I go out and I lend fishing rods to people and we teach them how to fish. So you could also enjoy the fruit of all of our aquatic neighborhoods, right? And enjoy the hard work we put in protecting them. So I'm going to pass it to Francesca. We went over all our aquatic neighbors and the health and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And I know you've got Ian there at Parks, and we were just talking about the Park Connection as it being a place to come visit. I think it'd be fun for us to go back out to our live cam for a few minutes here, though, and maybe we can see what else is going on down at the lake. Let's repin that for you, because it looks like our friends are frozen. We're just trading off who's frozen today, so thanks for bearing with us. There we go. Ian, you're back, it looks like. And it looks like we've got some coots or some ducks still out there. But anything else you want to add about visiting the park? I know Jose was mentioning fishing clinics.
Yeah, so there's lots of things out in our park. So you see the water level right now, it's quite high. 2 weeks ago, there was about 10 to 20 feet of beach right where you're looking. So all of this is from that rain and this wonderful flurry of snow we're having up here. So imagine standing where our lab cam is now, surrounded by a swirling storm of snow.
Very cool. I wonder if it's snowing where anyone else is at school right now, or maybe you're homeschooled if it's snowing at your house or your drive-in. But we'll send it over to Dominic to kind of do a little wrap up here. And again, keep thinking of those questions. If you've got any questions, we've got Ian, Jose, and Monica, our environmental scientists, who would love to answer your questions this morning. Teachers, you can go ahead and help students put it in the Q&A box down below. And we'll take a look at that while we send it back to Dominic here.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I hope you had some fun, learned a few things today about watersheds as we still look at our lake live cam. It's pretty choppy out there, but you can see the effects of what storms do to some of our parks. So it's nice to get some precipitation here in California, and all that will eventually make its way down, or some of it at least will make its way down through the watershed and help our friends, our other neighbors that we learned about today, the turtles and the fish and the birds, and every other neighbor that relies upon this great water source. So as Jose and Ian asked you guys to do, when you go through your day, think about how you would treat your neighbors. And this is the way that we want to treat our neighbors out in our parks and our other non-human neighbors, the birds, the plants, the insects, the fish, so on and so forth. And treat them the way you would treat any of your other neighbors, because we all do rely on each other out there in the watershed. So really hope that seeing the watershed today inspired you guys to think more about the watersheds that you live in. Remember that the Mojave River watershed is not the only watershed in California. No matter where you are in the state, you are part of a watershed. So if you want to learn more about your own watershed, I'm I'm sure that you guys can ask your parents or use the computer and take a look at what watershed do I live in and what neighbors do I have here in my watershed. So I'd encourage you guys to do that as well. This one program that we did today is just a part of a whole series of Port's programs about watersheds and wildlife. And so going forward, we'll have a few more, and I'll share my screen and show you the map again. We'll go back to the map where we started today and chat a little bit more about what's coming up. So again, here's our Mojave River watershed, and Monica talked a bit about where the Mojave River still flows here in Apple Valley. And you guys can see this water in the blue and white here going all the way past Barstow, California, all the way out here, all the way out into a big basin out in the desert, mostly underground. So a really, really cool watershed. Hope you guys enjoyed learning about that today. Going forward in the future, we have watersheds here for the San Joaquin River that flow into the Central Valley of California. So a lot of water flows in through our great Central Valley of our state. So I hope you guys will be able to join us for that one as well. And we also are going to be doing the North Coast, a few rivers up there in the next bit as well. So hope you'll be able to join those with us for those as well. That would be great. We'd love to see you again. And I think if there's any other questions in the chat, we'll take a moment to look at the chat and see what we've got.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left for some questions. And I'm seeing a good one come in from Miss Elliott's class from Dorothy. And her question is, how do animals survive there? So Monica, do you want to take this one maybe and talk about some of those cool animals that you were mentioning earlier and their survival or adaptations?
Sure. So there's lots of different animals that are going to be living there. For the fish that live underwater, they can choose where to spend their time. So the deeper in the lake, the colder the water is going to be. So we mentioned that this is a desert biome, a desert area. That helps them when it's really hot outside. Here in Southern California, our desert temperatures can get higher than 110 degrees. So a lot of the times the fish will go down deeper to deal with the heat, but also right now during the storm. Those fish that live underwater, they're doing okay. They're hanging down where it's deeper. Maybe they're finding a little rock to hide under. I know Silverwood Lake has catfish, and catfish also have burrows, but their burrows are underwater. They don't come out onto land. For birds like the bald eagle, if you were to check out the bald eagle camera that's in Big Bear, you'll see their feathers sort of interlock over each other and act as kind of like a tarp. So they can hunker down and deal with lots of snow. And then when they're ready, they just get up and shrug it off, kind of like taking off a sweater. So they have ways to stay warm, and those feathers keep them warm underneath, but allow them to shed the snow on top of that. So those are just a few of the ways that animals survive there, especially in harsh weather.
Perfect. Some cool adaptations going on in these lakes. And we had another question that kind of goes along with that. Let's see, Mrs. Moss's class is wondering about when you go fishing and what species of fish you might catch there. So maybe we could pull up that photo of a little boy fishing, and Jose and Ian, do you want to talk about what fish you could catch?
I could talk a bit. I know they have rainbow trout up here. And rainbow trout, I also saw another question asking there, why is it called a rainbow trout? My drawings probably didn't do it justice, but if you look at their color, they have a really sort of gorgeous, silverish, rainbowish at the right angles color going on. So their lateral line, which is an organ, if you saw that, there you go. It starts pink and then they sort of change colors a bit. But the thing is, humans are not the most creative when it comes to names. So it's not going to be rainbow like the rainbow fish. It's just a very colorful fish. So that's the reason it's called that. And then they're up here at Lake Silverwood. There's probably a few other species that are up here as well. That's a really excellent question. One that I should definitely look into. And the reason I don't know is I don't spend that much time fishing up here. And I think I saw another question in here that sort of relates to fishing. So this one connects to, is it salt water? The water up here is not salt water. And let's see here. Oh, Ian helped me out with the official list we got up here that he found online.
So we're here at the visitor center here at Silverwood, and we have plenty of displays here that talk about the types of fish that you can catch. We have some striped bass, largemouth bass, catfish, as well as the rainbow trout. So those are going to be the main fish that fishermen out there on the lake, although it does not look like anyone's fishing today, would be catching on a daily basis.
Sweet. Yeah, and then I see a question, how much fish does a bald eagle eat each day? And they eat about 10% of their body weight in fish. And so and it also depends as well, like some foods are higher value, so they provide more calories, more fats, more useful proteins than other animals. But generally it's about 10% of their body weight. So yeah, so if you have any other questions, we recommend you look it up online. We have amazing resources on the CDFW website, the state parks website, and countless other scientific agencies. They go out, they spend their entire lives looking into these things and asking the same questions you ask about how many species live here, all those awesome questions. So the information's out there and you're totally capable of doing it, of finding it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I can see some more questions coming in. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we can tell you're all thinking like scientists, starting to explore the outside world around you. We've got an amazing visitor center at a lot of our state parks where you can go to learn even more about this exciting stuff. So I'll send it over to Dominic for a quick wrap up, but we want to thank you all so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks again, everybody. We really, really appreciate you guys joining us today. We hope you had some fun. We hope you learned some things, and we really, really, really want to see you guys out in the parks. We would love to see you out at Silverwood Lake or any of our other state parks or natural spaces here in our great state of California. So thank you so much again for coming on for this program with us today. And I did mention that there are some other programs coming up. And so if you guys would like to be a part of those, please take a moment and scan the QR code. Our next program is going to be on Wednesday, April 23rd at 9 a.m. We're going to be talking about the North Coast rivers. And so please, we'd be so lucky to have you guys join us for those as well. So thanks again, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of the day and stay warm and dry out there.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. See you next time.